So I'm happy to see all of you here. And I wanted to say something about the Kundalini process of rising and working its way through our system. Somebody sent me a question about that and a very good description of the person's experiences. And I think back on my own process, awakening and process, and it does follow a certain normal progression usually, but everybody's experience is still different. So, but generally, it's dormant until suddenly, through some inner yearning and some contact with a lineage, a teacher, or some deep meditation, or at times, I guess, either with other triggers, it can happen that it arises. And that's usually a pretty noticeable experience. At least for me, it was a very noticeable experience. I started to really change in how I felt my own presence in my body. And the person who sent me this question described it very well, that suddenly it feels like the practice is different. And this is as it should be. It should be different at a certain point, because in the beginning and for a certain period, there is a bit of dependency on strong effort. This is for most people, not everybody, but at least a clear and deep intent is necessary to trigger the arising itself and to be open to whatever is presented by the teacher or the lineage. And so the fact that the practice, the experience of practice is changing is a very good sign. It means that your body, your system, is telling you that you no longer have to work in the same way that you did before in the early stages. You should instead allow more deeply the surrender to take place. It becomes all about surrender after a while, although you still continue to do the effort of feeling inside the heart, opening the heart and all of that. But your experience is different, and that's something to be quite grateful for. So the natural progress, is to have the Kundalini awaken, and people will have different experiences of that. For some people it's very dramatic and you feel yourself knocked over, even as I did. Other people it's much softer and gentler. But if you don't feel anything, then you have to get the message from your inside that, you have to dig deeper. There's some really strong resistance here in the system, and then more of the digging is required. But when you've broken through the major hindrances, and you start to feel a shift, then the system is automatically renewing itself, transforming itself. But the difficulty is if you don't continue to practice regularly, and if you allow the experience to get into your mind, then the process tends to become imbalanced. And so, at least for me, what has saved me through that process for now, the last part of the whole process is to integrate the changes that you're going through the awakening and the contact with your own deeper layers inside, to incorporate that into your everyday experience requires a lot of grounding, and it requires a lot of support. And we all hear of people who have a Kundalini awakening and it just goes into the mind and they go nuts with it because they can't handle it. It's just strong energy. It is not dangerous, but it is. The person who's asked me the question describes, feel kind of dizziness and isolated. But I mean, this is natural. We have to go through these phases. And what saved me through the whole process was to be connected with a lineage, to be connected with teacher, and also to be connected with a sangha, to have a group of people who I practice with and was constantly reminded of the process I was going through. So it really is relatively simple, is to stay out of the mind, the thinking as much as possible, and feel the gratitude for being able to surrender. And if you're not surrendering enough, surrender some more. And allow whatever is coming from your deeper self to work its way through your body, whatever experiences come. And again, doing that in contact with the lineage and people who practice is a safety mechanism so that it doesn't go into your head. You keep grounded, you keep steady in your practice. And without a sangha, without a group of people to practice with, about the three jewels, which a lot of the Buddhists do talk about, the teaching, the teacher, and the community. Without having some grounding in that, if you have a very busy family life, if you have a lot of things that get your attention elsewhere and into your mind and worries and all that, it's really important to have a place where you sit down at a time when you can be alone and you can be concentrated in yourself without interference. So having an altar in your house, in your own space, a place where you sit and meditate, where you are reminded, oh yeah, okay, I have to be grounded, I have to be open, I have to be surrendered, and I don't have to worry about whatever experiences come because I am connected to a particular tradition and so on. And it has been tested by thousands and thousands of people, and there is nothing dangerous in it. But of course it can be disconcerting to be dizzy and to feel lonely or alone, or however the person put it, is totally natural, but that we have to live with. We are alone, despite families and people we love and people who support us and all of that. Ultimately, we are alone. So facing that and being used to it, that we can function in that open state. And the main thing, the less we think, the better. And the more we can relate to that space in between the thoughts and just open to that stillness and the beauty that is there. And at least, for a period every day. And we'll come and go in that, there will be things that distract us and so on. But we constantly return to that and remind ourselves that we have to be grounded and open, and then Our body is telling us, I'm shedding one layer of identity after another, one layer after another. And, the integration process here, after the Kundalini is awakened, can take a long time. I mean, I'm still integrating my experience now for, I don't know, how 55, soon 60 years, I guess. I've been doing this every day. And it takes a while until you really integrate it completely into your own system and trust it and allow it to be, just in an open, surrendered state.